Hi, everybody. Welcome to Interesting AF or Interesting as Fuck, because some people don't like that I curse. But I'm assuming not these listeners.
I hope.
Welcome, and we are super excited about today and what we're talking about. It is, as a reminder, the doc is in, and today we are talking about going clear.
Oh,
It's
yes.
all about Scientology, based on a book that was written by the with the same name. Um, and I, spoiler alert, couldn't finish the whole thing because I was super like going like, oh my god, if we do this podcast, are they coming after us? Like, are we are we are we in danger, girl? Like, are we
Oh,
I'm
you and
like,
Ginger girl.
and like sometimes I'd like look like for some reason when like looking at it and like Ron Hubbard's like looking me in the eye and I'm like I like turn around and be like, is Ron behind me? Like is
But he's not
he
even the scariest person
he's
involved.
not even the scariest person involved when they start going into the other. Okay, all right. Let's back
Yeah.
up.
Yes.
Let's
We're
give
getting
some
ahead of ourselves.
background. We're getting way ahead of ourselves. So going going clear is documentary. Let me go get the facts. I was not ready for this apparently. So it is a 2015 documentary film about Scientology essentially. It started it was first kind of went on HBO, and I think you talked about this last time where it was essentially like a series, right? They had set it up like 2 series or something,
Yeah,
like
I could have
2
sworn
releases.
we watched at least 2 episodes of this because if I'm or maybe they did like a later episode, but I feel like I remember Leah Remini was a part of this as well. I know she has her own series, but anyway. Or they combined
Yeah.
the 2 episodes into the 1 2-hour documentary. But I feel like I remember when it came out that we definitely watched more than one session of it and we didn't stop it in the middle type of situation.
Yeah, and it's 120 minutes, and usually, like, documentaries are like 80-ish, so it feels like that, that would be
Yeah.
like twice. But was released in 2015, did extremely well, got 5.5 million views. And remember, this was the time where I don't know, children, gather ye round the Spotify/Apple podcast, where we had shows that they didn't release everything all at once. We had to
Nope.
wait a week. We had to wait a week or two to get the next episode. So this was probably, and they do, in the Wikipedia file, they do say it was released January 25th in Sundance and then March 29th on HBO. So they had a Sundance also. And it is directed by Alex Gibney. And as we said, it was based on a book by Lawrence Wright, Going Clear, who happens to be also, interviewed in this documentary. But insanity. So it's the whole kind of story on how Scientology came to be. And I went into this having very specific thought processes, right? I'm like, yeah, it's probably, not as bad as the other religions. And half of me is like, is it? Is it not? Like, wait.
Incorrect.
I mean, I don't know. Some of them have done, the witch burning, the other shit. There's some
Oh
bad
yeah,
shit happening.
no, they're pretty bad.
But
But
like
this one,
pr-
you didn't get
yeah,
to the
like
bad. You didn't get to the real bad stuff.
no, I got
Because
I
your
got
anxiety
I got
kicked in.
oh no, my anxiety kicked in with the framing. Like I was like, "Oh my god, they're going to frame like do I need to burn my my fingerprints off now?" Like everybody she has anxiety and just,
Who
just in case
doesn't?
it who doesn't? Yes.
We're
Don't
women in the year 2025. How could you not have anxiety? Join us, won't you, in admitting that we all
wait,
have
wait.
anxiety.
Wait, I'm confused. We would be having anxiety about what?
Oh,
Exactly.
just
Which gestures wildly at everything.
yes, just all of that. Just jazz hands all over the place. That.
Jazz hands. But yeah, this documentary, I what the fucked so many times in this one. That sounded gross
Sounds
somehow.
great.
But anyway,
No, sounds
so,
great.
but you know, first like I basically got through the first two parts, right? Cuz it's done like it feels like it's one act, two acts, like three. Like it feels like it's
Yep.
going, the background of it, then the second like the growth and then like I kind of started the third act where it's like, the sinister part of it all.
Yeah, so where exactly
Um
did you turn it off?
so I stopped right when Spanky like left. Cuz the
Got
second I
it.
heard about the babies being neglected, I was
Yep.
like, I'm going
Yeah.
to for
When I
reasons we
re
all know. I was like, "Oh, I'm
when I rewatched this, I was like, "Oh no, this part was so not Linda approved." I did give a warning that it was gonna be stressful, but I forgot how stressful it gets, to be
Oh yeah.
honest with you.
No, and I will finish it. Like I'll just like go through
Yeah,
it, but I was on a work trip this week and so it was like a little bit harder for me to like get
totally
get
fair.
get down with it, but
I admire your
also
commitment to sparkle motion in still recording this episode, which wow, that Donnie Darko quote came out of nowhere. It used to be one of my favorite quotes of all time.
so
What did you
good.
say?
That movie
Sometimes I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion, which is one of the greatest lines in a movie ever. So I'm going to use that more often.
and that you should. And I think in this time of wanting to be productive all the time and doing everything, sometimes we don't finish it all.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
that's fine.
Elaine has read it. She read it, has watched it. She's going to tell me what I missed. And then I'm going to finish it in a protected way because I know how it
Yes.
ends.
Yes.
Um, but, what I like found the most interesting about it and like how culty it is. It's about all these
Yeah.
people trying to figure out themselves. Like it's
Yeah.
in the guise of self-awareness, which we've been talking about. And no, we are not a cult.
No.
No
No.
X to that. Um, but I think in a lot of ways, it's when you feel that void of not being able to connect to somebody and somebody gives you a purpose, it is amazing. And
And they make it sound so easy.
yeah,
That's how they get you
but
in.
that's how they get you in. And I always find the most interesting is the people that like snap out of it.
Yeah.
That for them to walk away from something that gives them complete and utter faith in something and they walk away to go to doubt, that's strength beyond what
Oh,
we
yeah.
know.
Especially because cults go so much further in the sense of they take all your money, they make you separate from your families and your friends so that you become so dependent on this faith that you've built in this thing, whatever that thing is, that it becomes impossible to leave. That's what they do. That's what they cults all of them. There are like the same way there's like a checklist for serial killers, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with cults, right? Like there are very obvious checklists. And I think, Linda, what you will get when you go back to finish it is that checklist will become even more so apparent under David Miscavige, who is the most dangerous person in this entire, like, L. Ron Hubbard's like a weird, fat, dumb nerd, like sci-fi nerd who created a terrible thing, but really just started as a sci-fi writer. Like, he is actually a very fascinating person to learn about. One of my favorite podcasts, Last Podcast on the Left, they did like a 3-part series, maybe even 3 or 4-part series on him that is just LRH, like his whole life. Even, and obviously they dabble into the creation of Scientology, but it like stops at that line before. I can't remember. They may have actually done those episodes after they did the Scientology episodes. They also do episodes on Jack Parsons, who is a big part of
Oh,
LRH's
right.
early life, right? They mention him. They did, a lot of like occult type religious things, a lot of like sex cult stuff. They did a lot of drugs. They did a lot of drugs. And, Jack Parsons also founded the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Ames, California for NASA. So, like, we're dealing with some very interesting brains here, right? And Jack Parsons and LRH are very closely tied together. But LRH is really a fascinating person. So I think he's a really, you could go like on a real deep dive with that. And obviously what he created is terrible, but it's when David Miscavige takes over that it truly becomes this horrendous, abuse filled cult. Um, you can also go down some really deep, dark rabbit holes. His wife has not been seen since 2007 at her father's funeral. So there's like all sorts of shit on that. There was a police investigation into it. And I think in like 2013, kind of right around the time that this documentary came out, they closed that investigation saying like, listen, there's really no proof that she isn't just like kind of reclusive, but there's a lot of questions there. You can go on some pretty deep dives on all that stuff. But yeah, just, I think this documentary does a decent job of like talking about kind of his rise and how it was just kind of like he just kind of stepped in and was like, that guy's gone. It's me now. And then
It's me.
he elevates himself to this like true cult leader. And then the stuff that he does is just insane. But I think they even take it to another level. And yes, there are lots of cults that do this, but they take it to another level when it comes to the harassment of the people that leave. And like why you're saying, right? Like, should we even do this? Like, I'm worried that they're gonna come after us. Like, they are kind of a powerhouse and they're kind of known for that, right? So I think they take that part to another level. But yeah, this documentary is fascinating. It has a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. I took so many notes because I am so fascinated by cults that I just learned in the last couple of years that like you can major in this type of stuff in college, to the point where I'm like, if I could go back and do it again, I would fucking major in this and like write every thesis under the book about cults. Cause I find them fascinating. I find the way that they draw people in, it's all the same kind of formula, but people keep falling for it. It's the same people that fall for multi-level marketing schemes or, insert all sorts of stuff. But I don't know. I just find them so fascinating. And this one is no exception.
And and the thing is about it, I think, you know, most cults are selling the same thing, right? This one is saying,
100%.
I'm going to give you peace. I'm going to give you, clarity of view of understanding yourself and the world and just making sure all obstacles fall away. Um, some of them are like, I will give you your twin flame or whatever, the love of your life, or like success, or like, there's all these types of things. But in the end, it all comes down to the fact that they want
They're
more
searching for something.
clarity. They're searching for something. And it'd be an interesting thesis on like doing a study on people that fall for it and people that don't. Like exposing them to cult like be I'm sure it's out there. But like
Probably.
exposing like test subjects to cult like level like pressure, I would call it. And then who makes it and who doesn't. Like what stops you from,
Yeah. Where's
because
that
all the
line for
where's
you?
that line? Because all the people that, that are being interviewed, and they've been like they were in Scientology, what, like 17, 50, like it was a long time. And some
Mhm.
people were like really high up in the organization, right? We had the spokesperson, we had, the lieutenant for Miscavige. Like it's so interesting in the fact that these people were like high command, or however I think high command
Yeah.
is the word. And it's like, what makes you walk away? And these people are smart. Like they're not like I would never like look at them and go, "Well, these people are nuts." They're not. They're not
No.
nuts. It's
Yeah.
we we put these like, arbitrary prejudices around people that fall for cults. And I would say I'm like, "Oh, I'd never fall for. What the fuck do I know? I might
Yeah.
fall for one tomorrow." Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like and I find the most it's and even the way they talk about it now after being out of it doesn't, well, I didn't get to that part, but they didn't get really mad. Like I don't know. There were some people that are getting mad, but it feels like more of like I did this to myself thing and not being mad at like it's you feel like they're more mad at themselves than
Yes.
they are mad at, Scientology or whatever. I'm sure there's like an anger at that or like Miscavige or like Ron. The person that was part of the Sea Org. I'm blanking on the lady's name, the British lady, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
she seemed angry at Ron specifically, right? She
Yes.
was like, "But we fell for it and we did it to other people."
Yeah.
Um, and that I think is always the key. Like if you're imposing things on other people, that's when I think people always kind of I don't want to say snap out of it, but they snap out of it, right? That Spanky saw her daughter and she was like, "I'm
Yeah.
out. Like I do not like you do this to my daughter. I'm out. Like I can choose this life for myself, but I can't my kids can't choose it for themselves." So it's always interesting out of why people like exit. And then, the example of John not exiting, right? Like because he's,
John
either
Travolta. Yeah.
yeah, because yeah, I mean, you don't know you're not on first name basis with John Travolta?
I mean, I am, but we hadn't mentioned him yet to our listeners, so
That's
just wanted
true,
to make
that's
sure
true.
they knew
So,
which
Jo
John.
Jo Johnny T,
Johnny
um,
T.
which you you youngins would know him for the Capital One commercial because he's
Yeah.
Santa, and they're making this allusion to a '70s movie that nobody, like, that is not our age wouldn't understand, and we barely knew it, right? We weren't even born
Yep.
when that movie was out,
Nope.
but, like, nobody knows,
Give
like
me
they're like,
Danny
"Oh, that's
Zuko.
cool."
Give me Danny
Yeah.
Zuko 10 times out of 10.
Oh, yeah, Grease. You know what? Stop right now. Watch Grease
Yeah.
before you watch this. You need to
Yeah,
love
definitely
John.
before. Definitely
You need to
before.
love definitely before. You need to love John before cuz funny story that like John comes out super nice and I didn't get to the Tom Cruise part, which I'm sure Tom does not come out as a nice person. I kind of want to feel like just 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 give
He
it to me
comes off as a
straight.
fucking crazy person in this one, I'll just tell
Well,
you that.
didn't we already know
Which
that
is
when he jumped on
yeah,
the fucking couch? We knew you were
yeah.
fucking crazy, dude.
I watched that as it happened. Like, I will never forget.
Oh,
I also watched
right.
so this was, Tom Cruise, again, for the youngins, this is going back 20 years. It happened 20 years ago. It happened in 2005. Definitely happened in 2005. Because I
Why?
remember
Why
it
did
was
you do that? Why did you
I
do
know,
that?
because it just came to me. I was on my break. I was a Senate doorkeeper. I was eating my lunch or like late lunch, whatever it was. And we turned Oprah on because everyone was like so excited in our break room because like Tom Cruise was going to be on Oprah and like he was going to talk about Katie Holmes and all that stuff. And we all just sat there like, what the fuck is going on? So definitely summer of 2005 had like, it's all coming back to me. It's all coming back to me now. Um, Tom Cruise jumps all over the couch on Oprah's show while talking
Because
about
he's
Katie Holmes. And everyone is just
right.
like, let's go. Like, there was just this like weird ick factor. I think that was the same summer or around that time that in his interview with Matt Lauer, Gross, called him glib remember glib became like a huge because everyone was like, what the fuck does that mean? But he called Matt Lauer glib and stupid essentially because Scientologists don't believe in modern medicine, right? Like everything just goes away. So that was a big summer for Scientology and for Tom Cruise, and everyone was kind of like, what is, and they talk a lot about that in this documentary when you get to the Tom Cruise part, because
Yeah.
like they show all the bits and pieces and all the clips of when he really started, like people really got their first like deep dive into Scientology because he starts talking about SPs, suppressive people, and he starts using the terminology like out in the open in these like Larry King and Oprah and like all of these major interviews. So they go into a lot of that and how like they love Tom Cruise because he became like the guy and he was like David Miscavige's guy. And so I think some of it too is like there's two worlds. Like some people, like John Travolta probably got much more of a good treatment than her because he was a celebrity. He was someone who could get them access. He was someone who could be out there and talking positively about this. And Tom Cruise is the same way. Like you'll see the house that they had out in Hollywood where they would be like, Tom Cruise is coming, like everything's got to be perfect. He didn't live there, but like it was a place that he could go to be surrounded by his Scientology people. So I think there were like, I think they do a good job too of being like, there were some people that never saw what we saw. And there were people like us who literally got the shit kicked out of us and like waterboarded and starved. And so that last part really kind of shows that escalation that Miscavige took it to, which is another one of those checklists, like with cults, right? They bring you in because you want this sense of self or this, you're searching for just something bigger than you, a cause, a positive thing. And then before you know it, like you're sucked in. And then this person then turns it to, okay, so you found us because you were looking to find yourself. I talk to God, and if you're next to me, you're next to God. So people then shovel over all their money or they do whatever it is that that person asks because they are the embodiment of God or some semblance of a God or whatever it is. They start taking all your money. They separate you from everyone in your life that is not a part of said cult. And then there's 9.5 times out of 10, there's hard free labor involved. There's starvation and there's literal torture and beating. And this checks all the lists. And I think, again, like L. Ron Hubbard really started a terrible thing, but Miscavige took it and fucking ran with it.
Yeah. Like he didn't, I don't see Ron getting the God part. Like, I don't know if he did. Like, he probably did. He was like, it's a religion. He wants to get. I feel like he was just like, I want tax exempt status. It's mostly like his entire like thing.
Don't even fucking get me started on that. Like,
Yeah.
it makes me tax all of them. Tax all of them.
All of them. All of them. All of them. I don't.
Every single one.
You're supposed to be doing good for the community.
$1 billion worth of tax bills. $1 billion. Do you know how many people that feeds?
Not anybody in the U.S. or through USAID though.
Scientology. That's just Scientology with the $1 billion tax bill. By the way. Anyway, sorry. That's a soapbox issue. I won't continue on.
Yeah. Well, I think in a lot of ways though, it's how far are you willing to take something, right?
Absolutely.
Are you willing to give everything away to kind of give yourself a semblance of order, a semblance of sanity or what you call sanity? Because, oh, yeah, I deserve to be beaten because I didn't follow the rules, or I deserve to they deserve all my money. They know better, right? Like, is that where we're at? And is that, I think, what people like always go, right? The understanding is like, we're always fighting against our own perceived unworthiness.
Yes.
Right. And I think, with cults, they'll reinforce the worthiness at first, and then they'll be like, but we can take that away.
Oh yeah. It's part of the indoctrination, right? It's
Right.
all part of that checklist.
And you see that. You see the whole like, I will, you'll have these like audits, like you'll talk to auditors for like hours and they'll like write down what you're saying. And you're like, you're literally giving them your most inner thoughts.
Yes.
And you don't think this is going to be used against you?
For you to stay. It's yeah, they're extorting that stuff from you. It's
the second I was like looking at that, like, and I was seeing somebody write, I'm like, wait, aren't they going to use that later?
Of
and
course.
then that's what like the John thing came out where they probably have shit.
Yep.
Though, I feel like John Travolta would tell us anyway. Johnny would tell us.
Johnny T, our best buddy. Yeah, that
Johnny
was, I mean, before, again, for the chillins, We remember when the Sun and the National Enquirer could do things like flat out lie, like Bat Boy was. I used to have nightmares because of that Bat Boy picture, like constantly. Where they could just flat out lie and just like make up stories. This, you'd pick it up because these were the pictures of a Yeti or Bigfoot, or like that's aliens, Bat Boy, like all that stuff. It was just wild and crazy. And so during that time, a lot of it was like John Travolta's gay. This is what Church of Scientology is holding over him because he doesn't want that out. And they're just going to hold that over him forever. So that was like the big, bombshell rumor in the early 2000s. Right. People said it about Tom Cruise as well, but it goes into the end of it with Tom Cruise. They go into kind of like the setting up of post Nicole Kidman relationships. They don't go into the Katie Holmes stuff so much, but
Yeah.
it's all very interesting.
Well, I mean, it was 2015 and they got divorced, they got divorced like a couple years before that. So my assumption is it probably wasn't public record yet, right? The divorce stuff wasn't public record. So
that's true.
There's only and there was probably a baby involved and maybe they didn't want to go into that.
We want you back, Tom. I know you've been in there for a long time, but like we want old Tom Cruise back. Like we welcome you with open arms. Linda's arms are wide open.
They are. I'll hug you.
I love Tom. I love Tom Cruise so much.
Tom is so cool. And this is the thing, like everybody talks about him. Like, Hollywood is always like, they're like, this is like a nice guy. Like everybody talks about him and they're like, he might be fucked up like one way, but it seems like he's genuinely a kind person. I don't know how much of that is like the Scientology.
Coconut cake. Bring us coconut cake.
Please. Come on. We have the money to buy it ourselves, but it will be priceless coming from your assistants.
Yes. I don't care who it is. It doesn't actually need to be from Tom. Like he doesn't need to hand deliver it, but like knowing it came from.
But I'll take that. You can hand deliver it.
Yeah. It's fine.
Also, Mission Impossible now. Like DC needs some Mission Impossible shit.
I think the new one, the second one, right? The last one, whatever they're calling it, is coming out this summer.
Yeah, I don't know. I had problems with the last one because, I heard what happens in it and I was like, nope, you did wrong by me.
Oh, so, no.
Yeah,
okay.
they did wrong by me and I was like, nope, don't want to watch that.
All right. We're going to watch it at some point, but.
Yeah, it made me sad.
Oh, I don't like that. Yeah. Well, the rest of this ain't going to make you feel much better, to be honest with you. But yeah,
I'm sure it won't. And we'll give a small update on the next one, on our next episode when we start. But I will finish it. But we could have delayed recording. We could have pretended to be perfect. But
But until this is our full-time job, we got other shit. We gotta make money somehow. So
we gotta make the funds for me buying presents for my children because apparently that's all my job is about.
Of course,
to buy them other toys.
Of course. All right. So what's our what the fuck-a-meter for this one, Linda?
What the fuck meter is a 13, and I didn't even get to the what the fuck. Like literally one of the characters goes, "What the fuck is this?" And I go, "Yes, what the fuck is this? Yeah. You have souls on top of you? What?"
Yeah.
First of all, Thetans. I would get a rash.
Linda, Thetans.
I would have a rash. My skin is hella sensitive. If I had Thetans on top of me, I'd be breaking out.
You're right. You need an audit to get rid of your Thetans.
You think we can build one?
Build an audit machine?
There's got to be a patent for it somewhere.
Oh yeah, but it's got LRH's name on it. Did you see? Like every time they show it, it's like made for use by L. Ron Hubbard in America.
But that's what I mean. So it's got to have a patent. So a patent file has to have the like specs for it, right?
Oh, for sure. I'm sure it does.
If anybody's an engineer out there, please make one, and we'll invite you on our show. Let's audit each other.
Yes, let's
Also,
oh my god. That'd be great.
I don't think Elaine or myself really needs one of those to like say
No.
anything because
I'm an open fucking book.
open book. Nobody can blackmail me with shit. I'm the one who's blackmailing myself.
Is it blackmail if you do it to yourself?
Is it? I feel like it is sometimes. Anyway, all this to say, um, you know, this is an insane one. It is
Insane.
scary.
Yeah.
It's scary because I would feel like if you did an expose on most major religions, at some point you have one person that like does this type of level, like insanity shit. That's like, beating, killing, drowning, all these abuses. It's all about power, man. The second you have
Always.
power over people,
And David Miscavige is still in power. He still runs Scientology to this day. He's been running it since like 1987. And there, I looked it up. There are let's see. So how many Scientologists today? The number, most estimates worldwide, is likely under 40,000. But the Church of Scientology, how much? Okay, so 40,000 registered is what like Google can gather. What number
yeah,
do you think the Church of Scientology says their global membership is?
probably like 5 million or something.
8 million. They say that 8 million people are members. That is not the case. And like we were talking about earlier, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle.
As
40,000 and 8 million.
always,
That's a really big. I think it's closer to the tens of thousands, not the millions. But I'm sure it's, probably a little more than 40,000, but not quite
I
8
I
million.
would assume 40,000 is like the people that are like really into it, right? There's some
Yeah.
people that are be like, "Oh, they get to like OT level whatever."
Right.
And
Right.
they like stop. I'm assuming like Google is like 40,000 that are like really like it's their life
The people
mission
who like
type of.
are willing to identify that they
Yeah.
follow it, right? So,
Yeah. And
but I don't think
again,
it's even a million. I would bet it's not even a million. So,
I this is like if you're talking about like yeah, I don't think so either. I think a million's probably like a good number. And whether Miscavige is like, so this is the thing, right? Is Miscavige actually, this is a very topical thing that is he like weaning the like leadership of tomorrow, right? Like, is he
right.
bring or because he wants power completely, right? So that's going to
Right.
be one of the questions, right?
Yeah.
Is there something after him as opposed to that? But
Yeah. And well, where their money comes from, on their money is on paper because they essentially own some of the best real estate all over the world, right? So now
right.
they're kind of more like a real estate company than a than a
Maybe
religious.
maybe they'll maybe they'll go legit.
Oh
Maybe they'll go
God,
legit.
pay taxes. I don't give a fuck. Like
Yeah,
Jesus
just pay
Christ.
pay taxes. Pay taxes, man. As we're about to pay more in
Of
taxes.
course, of course, for
Yep,
everything, for everything.
for everything.
Take your pronouns
Anyway,
out of your email signature, but have the price of eggs gone down yet? Ah,
nope.
nope.
Nope. And I don't think it's going to go down anymore, guys. Watch out. And PSA, because I feel like nobody's really talking about this. Second type of bird flu is now out. So don't eat over easy eggs. Make sure you cook them
Mm,
completely. Because eggs, like the yolk, if the yolk or the white isn't completely cooked, it might have, some remnants. Though there is no, evidence so far of us getting it through the food. Be careful,
still,
is all
be
I'll say.
vigilant.
Be vigilant, and be careful out there, guys. Information's gonna get much more contained, and you're gonna have to be
Yeah,
very careful. And I feel like that's a great way to end this episode to say, be careful where your information is, what you
yeah,
believe. Science matters, facts
yes,
matter. And connecting with other people that want the
matters.
best for you
Yes,
matters.
amen.
There you go. I don't think we talked about our next episode, but we'll figure it out between now and then.
Yes, we did not do that again. We were busy. We have
Yes,
actual
we have
jobs
jobs.
as much as we would love for this to be our job
Indeed.
someday.
And that some 100% someday. So we'll let you know, but we're really excited that everybody's talking about AI chatbots now. We are
Yes.
so smart. So smart.
We so smart, 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 smart.
Smart, smart, smart. Um, and so on that note, watch this because this is amazing. And it's great to see how people kind of do whatever it takes to believe in something bigger than themselves. And
That's right.
it's quite amazing. So thank you so much for joining us. It is thank you for joining us for Interesting AF. And Elaine, take us out.
Stay interesting.